Scrap junkies, copper fiends, welcome back to the channel. So my copper crucible is chipped on this bottom corner and it's starting to scare me. I really don't want to pick this thing up and have that little corner blow out, so I might get a new one of those on the way pretty soon. They're not that expensive. But I was at a Hoarders house. We got quite the score. Quite the score. I don't even know where to begin. First, I got this metal bucket type thing, kind of cool. Because my other Corona metal bucket, that one sprung a leak. So this will be used to cool off the bars now. Because plastic buckets, as I've learned, doesn't work. The bar is so hot, it'll just melt right through the bottom of the bucket. So we got a couple of air compressors, refrigerant compressors here. Look at this old one, huh? It's square body. It's an old square body. And we got a transformer here. Gonna have to dig all that out. Check this out. This is one giant hunk of lead. Nice. Pretty cool. That's gonna go in this. I clipped all these cords. All of these. These were from like fans and lights and this and that. And in boxes. So I clipped all the ends off. And stuffed it all in here. We still got our fin. And yeah, this is gonna get scrapped pretty soon, and that's gonna pay for the gas to melt down all of this. We've got quite a bit of brass. Shower valves, you name it, it's in there. And yeah, it doesn't look like we got a bunch of copper, but wait. There's more! Holy crap. This stuff's pretty thick too. We're gonna have to like chop that up into bits. There's quite a bit of processing to do first. We better get to it. So all of my melt videos that I've done in the past, you know, I never really went into detail exactly, like every single last detail, because it was kind of a hobby, something I did for fun, and I just kind of planned on just keeping it anyway. But now that we're potentially gonna be selling these, and I actually just got an inquiry on eBay. The guy was interested in a couple of brass bars and a couple of copper bars, so 2 and 2. So we're gonna go into real detail here. I have a bunch of copper and a bunch of brass out in the basement ready to go, or almost ready to go. A little more sorting to do. But yeah, pretty much I got a bunch of stuff ready to go, ready to melt into bars. So what I figure is we'll go out there and we're gonna melt down his exact bars so that he can see exactly what his bars came from. We're gonna stamp them and ship them out. But first, this is a super strong rare earth magnet. This is my little scrapper's magnet that I keep on me. And this is a 40mm shell casing that I found. I thought it was brass, but you can clearly see it's not. This is steel. And that's a strong, strong magnet. This thing's pretty heavy. And now you can see. Yeah. No stick, see? All of these bars are exactly as advertised. So let's go get started. So seeing that we have potential buyers coming in for these bars, we better get going. Fortunately, it's raining out today, but it doesn't mean it'll be raining tomorrow. But we have a lot of processing to do. And actually, I just got back from the Berkshires. I got up and drove 2.5 hours all the way to the Berkshires to do a kitchen job. They said they had the cabinets, the sink, blah, 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 it's all there. I was like, cool, see you there. I get there and half the kitchen cabinets were not there. They didn't confirm and check to make sure everything was there. So I loaded back up and another 2.5 hours home. And it feels like I've just wasted an entire Saturday. So I want to at least get some of this done. I think I'm going to start right here. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it. I'm thinking these. We'll just cut them up into small bits. This is going to take a while. A couple of nasty blisters and a bunch of cuts later. We are finished. It's all in the bucket. 15.6 minus 1.6 for the empty bucket. We're 14 pounds just from that copper shower pan. So that's almost enough to make 3 bars right there. Now we gotta finish cleaning up the rest. So the nice thing about this copper shower pan is usually they use solder to solder the seams together, but you can see in this case they did not. They just folded it, which is nice. So I'm not gonna bore you with the rest of the sorting, but basically I'm gonna go in here, anything that's clean that has no soldered joints will go in there, and I'm gonna cut off all the soldered joints and put those aside. Maybe we'll do a little footage of the motors. That's always fun. But you know, I'll do all the really clean stuff first, because I'll know that it's super clean. We're gonna use borax and slag it out anyway. But then at the end, I like to do the stuff that's a little bit dirtier, like soldered fittings and such. That way I know the last bar out, I really need to pay attention, slag it out really good, and make sure I get as much of the crap out of there that I can. And then we have our brass collection. So like this is a tub waste. This is solid brass, already clean. That's clean brass. These are all belt loops that we also got from the Hoard, and I'm trying to find one that has a, you can see on it, it's stamped right in there, solid brass. And these all say that. This is a solid brass little trinket. Been confirmed with the magnet. Solid brass. And these are interesting. These are like a red brass. So this obviously, these are brass, but they have a higher copper content. I mean, brass is copper, just mixed with other metals like zinc and whatever else is in it. But yeah, these are just gonna go in with the brass. I don't separate red from yellow. It's all brass to me. And then sometimes you'll get a brass fitting like this that has a little tiny piece of copper in it. It doesn't really matter because, again, brass is a form of copper. But I try to keep it as, clean as possible, because obviously copper is worth more if you can get it all out. A little piece of brass. So the shower valves, these are where it gets tricky sometimes. And actually, it's not that tricky. I pull out, like I'm gonna go and unscrew all of these pieces of copper, take those out, put them to the side. But a lot of times, these brass shower valves, see there's 2 steel screws right there, and then there's a steel spindle inside, which sometimes it's impossible to break these things free. So the Devil Forge does not get hot enough to melt steel. Brass melts super easy. So, you know, all the steel parts, you know, they'll just kind of float in the soup. And this new slagging spoon that I got, I mean, this thing works phenomenal. Just to go in and scoop out all the slag and any steel bits to get them out of there. And obviously, these guys, these have like, I don't know, I think these are like zinc or pot metal handles. These things melt super easy. I definitely make sure to take those off. I do not want that crap metal in the brass bars. That's the only thing you need to be careful of, is these little handles. And this has a piece of aluminum stuck on it, so we have to cut that off. But yeah, we got a little bit of sorting to do here. Man, it is cold out. So we got the tops cut off. Nice. Look at those. I mean, that's like super clean copper. You know, you don't have to worry about anything with these motors. They're nice. I mean, they're covered in oil, but that will burn off instantly. And then we just have this little transformer, Optimus Prime. We're almost there. Just gotta dig these out and cut off the muffins and then push everything out. And this is the nice thing about these compressor motors. The downside is they're all covered in oil, so I'm gonna be covered in it. But the upside is you don't have to fight. They just slide right out. I'll show you. Alright, so I'm going to have to say this is officially the first time this has happened to me. Not once have I ever pulled a refrigerant compressor apart and have there been aluminum windings. And especially from an old one. So this is the motor from the old square body. And that is that came from an extremely old fridge. These two motors came out of newer refrigerators. These are both solid copper all the way through. Sometimes you'll get an outer winding of aluminum and an inner winding of copper, but these are solid copper, and that's solid aluminum. Well, I guess that's the chance you take. It's the same thing with like microwaves. Sometimes you get the transformers and they have all copper, and sometimes they're aluminum. So it's good to just give them a scratch. And here's another tip that I've quickly been realizing. You gotta pick your battles. You really do. You gotta pick your battles when it comes to copper. This has many individual wraps, and there's like an insulation layer, and just everything is stuck together. And this is gonna take more time than it's worth in copper. So this is going in the scrap as is bin, and that's where it will stay. Yeah, on to the next. refrigerant motors or compressors. You know, I start by cutting off the muffin on the top, and I don't go crazy with the string because obviously the string will turn into ash immediately. But there's this piece of plastic that's in there that kind of divides things. I dig that out, and then I just keep all the motor windings separate in a bucket. I try to keep them together as much as possible, but it doesn't always happen that way. And unlike a regular like fan motor or something that has not been soaking in oil, because this has been in oil, once you cut off the muffin, you know, I just give these with a flathead and a screwdriver a couple of taps. Get them started. Then we flip it over in my custom woodworking, scrapper's vise. And then I just kind of go through the side with a screwdriver and go all the way across to the other ledge so you have something to pry off of. And then just pull up. I mean, these things come out without a fight. Well, I got a tank of gas, exactly one tank. Should be enough. It's gonna be cutting it close. And it's pretty nice outside. Well, it's cold, but it's nice out anyways. So I say we go fire up the Devil Forge. So I deducted these two odd size copper bars from my total, threw them back in here. I want to make, you know, all the same size bars. All the brass has been sorted and cleaned. I threw in all of my 9mm shell casing. And our clean copper, well actually these are both clean. All that's clean. And then there's a little bit of, you know, number 2 copper at the bottom, which I'll melt at the end. And just make sure I slag it out really good. Yeah, let's go fire it up. So I like to start with the motor windings, because they're much easier to get in the crucible while it's cold. And yeah, that's all we got there anyway. Let's fire it up. I think I have enough left in that tank maybe to at least get the crucible hot. And we'll switch over to the other one and hopefully we have enough. So I threw the 2 bars in there, the 2 odd-sized bars, along with the motor windings, and this tank is almost done. We got it hot, that was my goal. So we're going to switch over tanks now, and then we're just going to start feeding this thing copper. Alright, we're going to add in some of the special sauce. Little borax. Yeah, this needs a little more time. borax and just blast these out, and then we'll see what we got. Had this ready to go. Start with bullet casings, a couple of valves. And I always do brass last because the tank starts getting low, it starts freezing up, and brass will melt at a much lower temperature than copper. So yeah, it's just better to save it for the end. We're cutting it close on gas. We're down to the last like 2 inches on the bottom of the tank. I can see it freezing just at the bottom, so I just keep heating it with the torch and hopefully raise the pressure up enough. Actually, I might dump that steaming hot water over the tank. That might help get it ramped up. Just a couple more brass valves to throw in there, and we'll skim all the steel bits out, put in some of the flux, and get these bars done. So I usually don't show this part, but when I put everything in the crucible to start with, I put a little bit of borax in the beginning, so that can kind of work its way as everything's melting. It kind of really gets in there good. And then before I pour, if it looks really bad, or if I know know there's impurities that went in there, like soldered fittings or whatever, I'll add some more borax, stir it in, and then scrape off the stuff that kind of floats to the top. And you'll notice when we pour I just threw the shower valves in there with some borax. So when that's done melting, there's a few little steel bits that are in there, and you'll see them just floating on the top of the soup. We can scrape them right off. Throw them in the slag bin. Almost done. Oh yeah. So you can see, you can see all the, see? These are all the little metal bits. You can see the borax doing its job. Because all this is the slag. Just floated right up. Oh, I gotta put my glove back on. Looks good. So how come my bars are not like perfectly flat, perfectly shiny, mirror finish, all of that? Well, because I'm not a bullion dealer and I don't have the machinery. I actually did look into the sander that's needed to actually grind these things down perfectly flat and get a mirror finish on them, and it's like $1,000. I found a cheap one for like $600, and it's huge, and I still rent, so not happening. This is backyard style, hand poured. You know, that's you know, as advertised, hand poured. So, you know, brass is kind of a pain in the arse. Copper is really my favorite. It is easy. It melts easy, it pours easy, it comes out of the molds easy, it doesn't make a mess. You know, look how nice they are. I mean, this needs minimal work. They come out pretty flat, pretty nice. Brass, on the other hand, is a huge pain in the ass. This is the first pour. Not bad. But I think I started adding too much borax. And when you add too much borax, this is what happens. You know, sometimes I'm paranoid that there might be an impurity or something in there. And then you start getting this. And anyone who melts brass or knows brass and sees this, they will know it is brass. It has that weird grain structure, and you can see this like a little bit in shower valves where, you know, where they couldn't get to in the sand mold or whatever. But this looks really cool. Once these are cleaned up, I know these look really rough right now, but this is covered in graphite and everything else. But I'm gonna clean these up, and what I do use is I paid like 200 bucks for this thing. This thing was not cheap, or it was like 150, something like that. This is, you can see the diamonds on there. Nice diamond wheel. This is not a Home Depot. This was an online order. Really nice. So I use this to go in here and just knock everything flat so that it sits and stacks well. And then we go over it with this wire brush, and you'll see this wire brush, yeah, it's night and day. Night and day. So we're gonna clean these up. I poured this little bar here because there was only a little bit of brass left, and I figured, you know, this eBay guy who's ordering some stuff from me, he's gonna be the first person ever to buy a couple of bars, so I figure I was gonna throw this in as a thank you. But we gotta get it cleaned up first. So let's start cleaning. Yeah, so definitely not set up for this. This is why, you know, I don't go any further with these bars. I turned around and this was covered. I'm talking covered in copper and brass dust. I just had to like vacuum it and wipe everything down. And unfortunately that has to be there right now. But anyways, yeah, this is as far as I can take them. So these are the bars. You likey, you don't, well then you don't like them. I will keep them, no problem. So the way up, and you know what, I kind of like the little imperfections, you know, because every bar kind of has unique characteristics, and they, I don't know. I like this natural, untouched look, just like that. But anywho, let's weigh them up. So we had 31.7 pounds of brass added onto the, copper, 31.7 pounds of copper added onto the total. We have 307.5 pounds of bars. And then brass, we had 17.9 added onto the total. We have now 54 pounds of brass. So the stamps should be here soon. And we're gonna try to stamp these and see how it looks. It's worth a shot. All right, we're here at Maticio's scrapyard. I just dumped off all of that wire, the lead, and those heater coils. I just dropped all of that off. Got 47 bucks. Not great, but that'll pay for you know, a couple tanks of gas anyway, because I'm out. And just so there's no questions, this is why I do not use the polishing machine. I went and got it anyway. I put some of the polish on the wheels, and this is before polishing, and this is after. Do you see what it does to it? Yeah, it might be a tiny bit more shiny. Not even. But it takes this green polish and it jams it down into all the little crevices and cracks, because I don't have the equipment to sand this stuff like completely flat. So these are, as advertised, hand poured. So a little interesting little tidbit for you guys. Did you know that AmeriGas and Blue Rhino underfill their propane tanks? Bet you didn't know that. I just found out today. And I actually confirmed it when I came home, because I have a AmeriGas tank sitting outside untouched, and I just brought home 3 more tanks that I had filled in Norwood. And yeah, the AmeriGas tank is underfilled by 5 pounds. 5 pounds of propane short. And I don't like to sound like a conspiracy theorist or anything, but I'm the type of person that likes to be prepared, not surprised. If I think there's even the slightest chance that something could happen, I try to get ahead of it. You know, and hope that nothing does happen, you know what I mean? That's all we can do. It's a little concerning though, you know, because I went to 5 different places to find propane today. From here to New Hampshire. AmeriGas, I went to Blue Rhino, and it doesn't matter if you have Blue Rhino tanks or AmeriGas tanks, you can swap with either one. They don't care as long as I get a tank. And they all said the same thing. We haven't had propane in over a month. We can't get it. I was like, huh, that's interesting. So I took a trip out to, you know, it's a little far, but it's out in Norwood. It's a propane place. They'll just fill your tanks. They had some beauties there too. They had some 100-pound tanks and some 40-pound tanks, but they were a little rich for my blood. But yeah, I mean, why is there a big shortage on propane? And you know, I figured there'd be a shortage in the summer when everybody's barbecuing, but coming into the winter and we can't get propane, that's a little concerning. I hope nothing happens, but you know what? I've got 4 propane tanks full to the brim, and I've got propane heaters that are safe for indoor use, so if it does happen, I might be able to float for a little while anyway. All right, let's stamp these bars. All right. Finally. They are here. Whoa. These are a little bigger than I thought. Let's see. Yeah, I have 1/4 inch too, but these are just too small. You're never gonna see that. Stamping bars. It's a lot harder than it looks. Those punches want to turn as you're just wailing on them. So again, as advertised, hand poured, hand stamped. I'm actually going a little above and beyond because I didn't even want to do all of this. So hopefully he likey. And I guess I will do this every time a bar sells. I will come out, give it one last clean, stamp it with the weight and what it is. You know, it's not perfect. It's a little wonky. But again, it's hand done. And it's what's inside that matters, really. And actually, he's getting a killer deal this go around. You know, he's giving me 150 bucks for 2 copper and 2 brass. I'm throwing in this little nugget as a thank you, just because he's the first person who ever bought a bar from me. And I would really appreciate a good review on my eBay thing. You know, reviews help. So yeah, anyways, that's it for this one. I'm gonna go take pictures of these, send them over, and hopefully he like. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up. See you later.